Hello and welcome back. In my last couple of videos, I have broken down my displacement retest model, where we talked about market structure, validation, retest, and execution. I am bringing one more example from last week. Let's break it down step by step and let's understand how our displacement retest model works. So without wasting any time, let's get into this chart. This trade is from February 25th. Now to build our bias, let's start with the left to see what actually happened. So what we see is price starting to form higher highs, higher lows, higher lows, and then higher high. So this area becomes my last protected higher low because this is the area where we had a new higher high. Now if you have seen my other videos, you would know that if this was really bullish, market would come back to this last opposing candle and market would continue its higher high structure. Now there is a very important thing where we need to pay attention. So if you have already noticed it, please write in the comment section. Yes, so it's about speed. So let's count how many candles market printed when the market was forming a new high. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now count the number of candles that market printed to bring the price back to that same level. So we have our first candle here, which is the strong bearish rejection candle. Then second, third and fourth. So you can compare 8 candles versus 4 candles. So this shows bearish intent. But remember guys, as I said in my previous videos, intent is not a confirmation. Now we are going to patiently wait here and see what happens in our area of interest. So two things will happen. Either the buyers will defend this area and push the price higher for a new high, or the buyers will fail to defend this area and seller gaining control. As long as this higher low is protected, buyers are in control. Okay, so let's run a few candles and see what happens. Alright, so what we see is buyers fail to defend this area. Instead, we see aggressive bearish displacement breaking our structure. So now I'm going to mark our last protected higher low as our break of structure. And when the price was breaking our structure, it is not a weak candle. Instead, we see strong bearish candles. That shows aggressive bearish displacement. So this break of structure gives us our bearish validation. So let me mark here bearish validation. Now remember, when this happens, we are not going to chase this displacement. This might look like we have missed a move, but trust me, we are not missing any move. Our move will come at retest. That is where we are going to make money. Okay, now the next step in our process, we go back and mark the last opposing candle where the buyers did their last buying effort but failed and sellers took control. So let me mark this in rectangle and I'm going to extend it for our future area of interest. So I'm going to mark this area as our supply zone using the last opposing candle. Okay, supply zone using the last opposing candle. In my first video, I have covered how we mark our last opposing candle. So if you have not seen it, please go and check out that video. All right. So now what we are going to do is we are going to wait patiently for market to come back to our retest zone or our supply zone. So let me run some candles and see if the market came back to our retest zone. Okay, so let me extend it a bit further. So now we see that the market is retesting our supply zone, but we are not going to enter from here right away because market has entered our level and we see some upper wicks. Yes, you can definitely enter here, but that would be a risky and aggressive entry. So keep that in mind. In my first video, I have talked about 3 types of entry model at retest. So also go and check that out if we haven't already. What I would like to see is a bearish candle to tell me that the sellers are back in the game, and a small pullback and then continuation, which will tell me that the sellers have entered the market aggressively. So let me run a few candles and see if we got an opportunity to enter. So this is the bearish candle that I was telling about. This tells me that the sellers are back. Now this is the small pullback I talked about. Now I want to see sellers aggressively stepping in. Perfect. So this is a great setup of our model. So this is the candle that signals us that the sellers have aggressively stepped in, and this is our entry candle. So this is where we will execute at the closing of this candle, and my stop loss would be at the top of this swing high, and we will now let the market do its thing. So let me run this chart and let's see what happens. So let me run this chart to see what happened. So let me run this chart to see how it So let me run this chart and see how the market So let me run this chart and let's see how the price behaved from here. So let me run this chart and see how the market behaved from here. Alright, okay. Alright, so we see now candles in our favor. Great. So our Okay, so this is where we are going to enter, and our target would be this area, and our first target would be this area. So this trade is going to give us 1:3 RR. So we have our trade plan, and we will now let the market do its thing. So let me run this chart and let's see how the price behaved from here. Okay, perfect. So let's quickly recap. We got our structure shift confirmed here after this bearish validation, and after that we marked our last opposing candle and we waited patiently for our retest. We waited for the sellers to aggressively step in. This is where our entry candle is, and after that we entered and we got a 1:3 risk reward trade. So any questions, any comments, please write me in the comment section. And that's it from today's video. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.